Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Appreciate you and continue to appreciate you. And especially because you've helped us get ranked in the top 5% of all podcasts globally, according to Listen Notes. Now, I say especially because it helps me know that you are listening, and I really appreciate that. So, if you would go ahead and rate, review, subscribe to the podcast, that would mean a lot. Now, today, we're wrapping up our special 3-part series for high achieving women leaders who are starting to realize success isn't enough. So if you've been listening for the past 2 episodes, you know we've gone deep in episode 1 of this 3-part series, which was, let me check my notes here and see what episode it actually was. It was episode 216. So this 3-part series started with episode 216. All right. So in the first of these 3 episodes, I shared the moment I sat in my car and asked myself, if I could do anything, what would it be? That was the day I realized I wanted my work to make a difference in other people's lives. And for the first time, I felt free. And in the second episode of this 3-part series, which was the last episode, I talked about the hidden costs of staying out of alignment with who you are, out of alignment with your authentic self, and how success can look good on the outside, but slowly drain you from the inside. And now for today's episode, which is the third part in this 3-part series, I'm closing this series by answering the question I get the sense that so many of you are asking right now. I know I need alignment with my authentic self, but how do I even start? So that's what we're going to get at today. The first step to aligning your success with your true purpose. Because if you are feeling stuck in what I call the trap of success, where you've built this life that looks great from the outside, but inside you feel empty, there is a way out. And it starts with one small but powerful step. Now, here's what I want you to know before we go any further. You don't need a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. You don't need a long, extended plan to begin. You just need the next step. And when I had that breakthrough moment in my car, I didn't suddenly have my whole future mapped out. I didn't know exactly what my new direction or my new career would be, but I knew one thing for sure. I could not stay trapped in the version of success I had built for myself. I was successful, but I was unfulfilled. And so I did what I had always done. I made a plan. But this time, the plan wasn't about climbing another ladder. It wasn't a plan for a new title, a new role, or a new performance goal. It was a plan to change. Not a 5-year plan, but a simple, honest, what can I do next plan. And that first next step was a conversation. I sat down with the most important person in my life, my mother. She was the one who first told me, major in business so you always have a good job. She was the voice in my head whenever I made career decisions, the person whose approval had shaped my choices for years, in many ways, on many different levels. So when I realized I wanted something different, I wanted her to know. I felt like I needed her support, not because I couldn't move forward without it, but because her support mattered to me. I mean, I knew even if I didn't get her support, I had to move forward because that's where it was inside of me. Like it just had to be expressed in a different way. I had to come to my alignment with my true self, whether she supported me or not. And I'll be honest, I was nervous. I was afraid she wouldn't understand because for her, having a quote unquote good job wasn't just advice, it was survival. because of the time that she lived in, the era she lived in and she grew up in. She didn't have the opportunities that I had at the time I was having the conversation with her. And her life led her to working in a factory for 35 years and hated it. And she stayed there because she believed she had no other options. She didn't have a college degree like I did. So when I told her that the quote, good job, she had encouraged me to pursue wasn't fulfilling me, part of me worried she see it as ungrateful. But I knew I had to tell her anyway. And to my relief, she supported me. I mean, not because she understood. She didn't really understand it. She still thought it was a good job. And she said, just like this is exact quote, people don't leave good jobs. People don't leave good jobs. Anyway, she didn't fully understand, but there was a part of her that said, whether I understand or not, I support you. Because she loved me, she chose to support me anyway. And that conversation became my real first step out of the trap of success. That conversation was not the end of the journey, it was just the beginning. But something shifted inside of me that day. It was like night and day. Before that moment, every day felt heavy. I woke up tired already in the morning, and I moved through my work feeling drained, like I was giving away parts of myself to work that didn't reflect who I was. But after I made the decision to start moving toward alignment with my authentic self, the world felt brighter, felt lighter. I felt energized because for the first time, I was moving towards something that reflected who I really was. And even though I didn't know exactly what the future looked like, I had hope and I felt excited about what was next, even though I didn't have it all figured out. That's what alignment feels like. It doesn't require certainty and it brings peace. Looking back now, I understand what was happening beneath the surface. I was reconnecting with my authentic self. I talk about this reconnecting with my authentic self in my upcoming book, which you probably heard me talk about in the past. And so stay tuned for when that comes out. It's called Becoming a Purpose Maker. But anyway, the authentic self, my authentic self, your authentic self. In the book, I discuss the core parts of who you are. Your passions, those are the things that light you up. Your values, the things that whatever matters most to you, your natural abilities, what you are gifted at doing, and your desire to contribute to something bigger than yourself. So those are the four parts that help you connect with your authentic self. And I encourage you now and also in the book to think about those things that create you, YOU. And I use that as an acronym to say your own uniqueness. The Y, your own you, uniqueness. YOU, your own uniqueness. So I use that as a frame to help you just think about and reconnect with those parts of who you are. That's the way to stop making decisions based on what others expect. You start making what I call purpose aligned decisions. And it took me years and years to learn what worked and what didn't work in my journey to my authentic self. And now for you, it won't take you long. Won't have to take you that long because now I have it all laid out for you in these conversations and also completely in the book. But for me, I went from one career to another over a series of years, trying to stay and figure out the right way to get connected to my authentic self. So from one career, I would say, okay, these are the things that worked, these are the things that didn't. Spend a few years there. These are the things that worked, and these are the things that didn't. And then it came to me. That's where I realized has to have all those components, my passions, my values, my natural abilities, and my desire to contribute to something bigger than myself. So it took me all that time to figure it out. And then I started making decisions using that without even realize I was doing that. So it was unconscious. It was a process of decision making that I would just do, and I kept ending up in the right place doing the right things. And when I say right, I mean they were true to me and they felt good. Like, this suits me. But I do remember my first conscious purpose aligned decision. It was when I was actually, when I say conscious, I mean I was actually aware, and I set out to make the decision step by step using this process. It led me to a role that I'm still in, actually, as a professor at a university in Los Angeles. And I use this process of decision making to know and learn that their mission, which is to empower women for leadership and service, matched my personal mission. And I filtered it through my purpose aligned decisions process. And voila, it was a match made in heaven. I say that all the time to people. It's a match made in heaven. And even now, still there as a tenured professor, that work still energizes me. I feel like I'm making a meaningful difference, and I'm using my passions, my values, my natural abilities, and it includes my desire to contribute to something bigger than myself, which is the mission of empowering women leaders for leadership and service. And so every day, every decision I make, whether it's about a new project, an opportunity, or anything that comes up that I might have to do, whether it's a volunteer role or anything, I know how to check it against who I really am. So when it's a yes, I know it's a yes. And when it's a no, I know it's a no, because I have used this process and it's a faithful guide for me, and it always worked well. And because of that, I'm not just successful, I'm fulfilled. I am living in my true purpose and expressing my true purpose, and I am fulfilled. So, if you feel like you're stuck in the trap of success right now, I want you to know this: you don't have to stay there. You don't. You can build a life that reflects who you really are. You can be both successful and fulfilled. Alignment with your authentic self is the way out. Alignment is the way out. And that's exactly what we'll be covering during my free live online workshop via Zoom on March 18th. And the workshop is called When Success Isn't Enough: How Women Leaders Can Align Their Success with True Purpose Without Risking Everything They've Built. We'll start building your purpose maker portfolio together, get clarity on you, your own uniqueness, YOU, your own uniqueness, so you can begin making purpose aligned decisions that finally lead to fulfillment. The registration link is in the show notes. Just scroll down, tap the link, and I'll see you there. Until next time, this is Dr. Robin.